Welcome to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Coopersmith, a doctorate prepared nurse practitioner, and this show is about empowering you to live a radiant, healthy, and balanced life. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, Andy Feltovich, a former banker turned strength and conditioning specialist, sports nutritionist, and Strong First Elite instructor. And you also published The Signal, a weekly intelligence report on men's health and performance. So welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Amy. It's a great honor to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah. So you do a lot of really cool things, but what inspired you to get into this line of work?
Great question. So it started off in banker, working long hours, and I started paying the price, pre-hypertensive, cholesterol almost up to 300, obese. And my doctor basically took me out to the woodshed and said, look, son, right now you're relatively young. The question is what you should be doing. 10 years from now, if you're not dead, the question is going to be what you should have done. So I got very serious about this, so serious that I started doing it semi-professionally on the side in addition to my banking job. Traveled the world, learned from top experts, health, performance, nutrition. And then the instigating incident, if you will, that inspired me to do this full time was in 2025. My fast prematurely due to poor lifestyle decisions, and I turned all within the same week, which on my own health and mortality perspective, and inspired me to do this full time and help other men.
Yeah, that's such an eye-opening experience, losing somebody so important in your life, like a father. Um, did you think if you don't, just toe the line and really make those changes a permanent part of your life, that you would kind of go down a similar path?
Oh yes, absolutely. It was the Rubicon, the point of no return. I needed to start doing something, and that's what I tell young people. I target men 40 years and older because I'm not averse to working with younger men, but for the most part, my teachings just fall on deaf ears. They either don't work out at all, or they're stereotypical gym rat meatheads, go heavy or go heavy and hard all the time. So when I start talking about things like sleep and nutrition, it and mobility work, preventative maintenance, it just kind of falls on deaf ears. It's kind of like the gospel, right? You can preach the gospel to young people, but until they've sinned enough and they hate themselves enough to repent, it's just kind of falling on deaf ears, right?
Yeah, definitely people need to be ready to make a change. And sometimes that's looking your own mortality in the face and like, if I don't make this change, then life is not going to be good for me.
Yes, absolutely. You need to have your either religious or secular coming to Jesus moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So many of our experts that we've had on the show have differing opinions about nutrition and what people should be doing. So, what do you advise your clients to do nutrition wise?
See, Dr. Amy, you're already pushing my buttons.
Oh,
So
no.
people, no, in a good way,
Okay.
people just totally overcomplicate it, and not
Uh,
just overcomplicate it, but they vastly overstate what the science says. So what we actually know, what the science says, is whole foods first. The
mhm.
closer it looked to when you killed it or picked it, the better.
Yep.
Don't eat too little and don't eat too much, and that's about it. That's and then after that, it's uh, fads, conjecture, speculation. We're omnivores. That's the answer. That's always been the answer. That'll always be the answer.
Uh,
So vegans, carnivore only. They hate me because it's. I don't know if this is a family show. If I can swear, it's it's bovine excrement. BE. So that's
yeah.
it. We're omnivores. Eat whole foods. The closer it looked when you
Yeah.
picked it or killed it, the better. Don't eat too little and don't eat too much. That's what the actual science says.
And so, in some of my work, when I'm working with women, especially older women, many of them undereat chronically. So, do you find that men will undereat as well?
That is so. All the women in my life will back me up on this. I don't understand women. That's why I work with men.
Good choice.
I know. I know that REDS, relative energy deficiency syndrome, and undereating with female athletes is a huge
Yeah.
problem, and for various reasons, which is kind of beyond the scope of this discussion. But yeah, especially female adolescent athletes who are training a lot, getting enough nutrition and especially enough iron is a huge problem. But men too, it is potentially an issue if you're training a lot, like God bless America. I had this one client. He was a 60-year-old triathlete, and he was eating like oatmeal and egg whites. So I was like, dude, you're doing triathlon training.
Right.
So getting them to eat enough, getting people to eat enough protein, especially with anabolic resistance and resistance training in the aging male and the aging athlete,
Yes.
that's a huge problem. So getting enough protein is a huge issue. But also, we've unfairly demonized all carbs all the time. If it's a matter of the right tool for the right job. It's not a matter of good carbs versus bad carbs. If you're about to train or you just got done training, then simple high glycemic carbs are what you need. You're not going to, if you just ran down your muscle glycogen, you just trained for a marathon, just ran a marathon, you're not going to restock that muscle glycogen with egg whites and Brussels sprouts. It just ain't going to happen. So go eat a few donuts.
Yeah, some of the best food treats are after an endurance event because your body really does want food and it wants it now that it can, food that it can absorb. But do most of
Absolutely.
are most of your clients endurance athletes, or are they
Oh,
regular guys that need to hit the gym?
Oh God, no, they're not endurance athletes. So my joke is I don't run farther than it takes to get to the fridge.
Uh-huh.
So I have worked with endurance athletes. I will work with endurance athletes. If I'm not here to judge people. That's the job of your priest, your shaman, your spirit guide. If endurance sports is your thing, I'm not going to talk you out of it. But there's this big mythology that endurance sports are healthy for you, which is absolute bovine excrement. It repetitive use injuries are a huge issue. Metabolic stress is a huge issue. Oxidative stress is a huge issue. So if you enjoy long, slow distance LSD, long, slow distance cardio, endurance sports, I'm not going to talk you out of it. But God bless America. Don't be under the illusion that it's somehow good for you. So very, very few of my clients are endurance athletes. I take on a few all the time, mostly because I like projects, and also if they want to work with me, I'm not going to turn them down.
Yeah. So in an ideal situation, what do you think is a healthy exercise situation for somebody?
So you want to do a few things. Sarcopenia is all over the
Hmm.
news, and for good reason. It's the next silent killer. So after the age of 30, you are losing muscle mass, and you will continue to lose muscle mass at an accelerating rate unless you reverse the process with with a focused exercise and nutrition program. So either you reverse the process with a focused exercise and nutrition program, or you literally whittle away into nothing and die. So full stop, resistance training to build and maintain lean muscle mass, non-negotiable. Also, cardiorespiratory fitness is Peter Attia, who's got everybody all ginned up about VO2 max, and
Yeah.
what what he what he's done is he's conflated, and he's got my name and number. I've offered to debate him anywhere, anytime. He what he did is he conflated VO2 max with all kinds of measures of cardiorespiratory fitness. So even unpacking the word cardio, like what the hell are you even talking about? You're talking about a bundle of adaptations, which is all important, mind you, but people need to be careful what the heck it is that they're actually talking about. So you're talking about a bundle of adaptations. You're talking about a stronger, more efficient heart. You're talking about dense capillary networks. You're talking about arterial compliance. So when your arteries are not pipes, so that's a reductive bias, and in physiology is that the heart is just kind of one plumbing system. Well, your pipes in your house don't flex and bend. The arterial compliance is a huge issue. So when your cells need oxygen, you need to vasodilate. You need to open those vessels up, and you need to get that blood and that oxygen to the muscle. So you're talking about having denser capillary networks. You're talking about arterial compliance so that those networks can open up. You're talking about a strong heart so that your blood can pump, your heart can pump blood to the muscles. And finally, once they get to the muscles, you're talking about bigger, better, stronger mitochondria. So in order to do those things, and this is kind of what I became famous for, I have a hopefully article coming out soon. I'll keep you posted when it hits, how to do all that 30 minutes 3 times a week. So what you're talking about is you're talking about lifting heavy weights using big muscle groups, so big compound functional movements with heavy weights to engage those big muscles and fast twitch muscle fibers. And you're talking about doing enough repetitions to go breathless, because that's the only time that you're actually adapting. You're actually building bigger, better mitochondria, right? In order to bring yourself out of homeostasis, elicit a change, build more machinery. Your body needs to get the signal, hey, my current machinery is not up to the task. I need to build more machinery. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Compound functional movements, heavy weights, stimulate all those fibers, including the fast twitch muscle fibers. Do it long enough to go breathless. And then after you spend down those phosphocreatine stores quickly and completely, give yourself enough time to recover and then do it again. So that's another mistake people make. I call it metabolic theater. I don't want to pick on CrossFit, but they're kind of infamous for that. One thing they teach in Strong First, and I'm a Strong First student, is the minimal effective dose. So yes, you need to give your body that stimulus, but after you get the stimulus, after that, it's just junk. We call it junk stress, because you done told your tissues what to do. Now you're just piling on stress, delaying recovery, creating oxidative stress, and potentially other problems.
All right. So just to backtrack for a second. So you mentioned when you started the segment VO2 max. And so are you saying that you don't think people should measure that, or you think it's overrated and that's not what we should be looking at?
Yeah. So for Gen Pop, it's a great big waste of time and potentially dangerous, right? So most people have never done a legit VO2 max test. So what they do is they give you a god-awful, uncomfortable contraption to put on your face to measure all the oxygen that goes in and out. And they put you on a treadmill until you physically cannot take another step. And then they measure how much oxygen you take in, how much you expend, and out from that, they back out how much oxygen you're utilizing. So it's not fun. And it's potentially dangerous. Anytime you push the ticker that hard, you can potentially die. A friend of mine, healthy as a horse, he was actually one of my mentors. He's the one who got me into health and fitness. He was one of my mentors coming up. Fit as a fiddle, does fitness professionally, a cardio machine. He literally died doing a stress test. And it worked out well. He was revived. He's got a pacemaker now. But yes, anytime you push the ticker that hard, you could potentially die. So for Gen Pop, VO2 max, complete waste of time, complete waste of money, and also not a lot of fun and potentially dangerous. And you know what else about VO2 max? It's not even correlated that high with performance. So if you're actually looking at performance, anaerobic threshold is a much better marker. How much work you can do before you go anaerobic. Because once you go anaerobic, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get rapidly decreasing performance until you're left as a quivering puddle on the floor, right? So yeah, the money ball for performance is anaerobic threshold, how much work you can do before you go anaerobic.
Right. And that's when you start building all that lactic acid up, and it's just unpleasant. It hurts.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to pause for a break from our sponsor. You're listening to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Coopersmith, and my guest today is Andy Feltovich. So before the break, we were talking about your work with men's fitness and dietary strategies and exercise strategies, but also very relevant for aging men is testosterone. So tell me about your views on testosterone and how it's helping your clients.
Yes, thank you. This is a great topic, Amy. So first off, the misconceptions and a fascinating unknown history behind it. Most of the misplaced fears about testosterone replacement therapy and it causing prostate cancer and all kinds of nonsense. I did some digging, and there's a joke Yogi Berra said, you can observe a lot just by watching. So I actually dug into the literature and the history. Those myths came from three subjects in one study from 1941, and which effectively set testosterone replacement therapy back 3/4 of a century. And then once radio immunoassays became cheap and widely available in the 1970s, we found out it was actually just the opposite. Eugonadism, that is, men who don't produce healthy amounts of testosterone, it was associated with worse cardiometabolic profiles. Yeah. It was, of course, the obvious things, decreased libido, increased fractures, and increased cardiovascular disease and all kinds of things. So right now, the risk is totally to the other side, is eugonadism and not producing enough testosterone. The point is, it's a constellation of factors, and labs is just one part of the puzzle.
Right. And that's a really good point about quality of life, symptoms, and having somebody, a provider that understands that, and it's important to the patient and to the clinician to make sure that those things are addressed. During the break, you had mentioned that there are some different regulations occurring around testosterone. So what's going on there?
Yes, so it used to be that you needed to have some kind of damage or the pituitary gonadal axis, the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. You needed to have some damage in order to qualify for testosterone replacement therapy. The definition of eligibility has since been expanded to encompass all those factors we discussed. So low lab results, the decreased libido, decreased performance, lethargy, which is a good thing, because, like I said, barring a few contraindications, which we can of course talk about, the risk is overwhelmingly to the downside of not getting testosterone replacement therapy.
So when you mention qualifying things, are you talking about for insurance reimbursement?
Yes. So almost invariably, you're going to be paying for something out of pocket. And we talk about testosterone replacement therapy like it's like this kind of unipolar entity. No, it's not. You've got pills, you've got patches, you've got injections, you've got short-term injections, you've got long-term injections, you've got pellets, and depending on the flavor, your favorite flavor, you're most likely going to be paying something out of pocket, especially pellets. Pellets in many ways, we can get into
Yeah.
this in deeper and more detail. Pellets have numerous advantages, and not as many people know about it. And also, a lot forget TRT, set it and forget it. So ongoing treatments, whether again that's, and also there's a lab work. So you have to you have to look at your PSAs both before and during TRT, your hematocrit both before and during. So, for example, there was this I'm calling it nonsense. It was an actual problem, complications, thrombosis from people surgery. People were getting blood clots during knee replacement surgery, but that's just simply because they didn't get their hematocrits checked both before and during TRT. They didn't notify their surgeons that they were on TRT, and they didn't cease TRT a reasonable time before surgery. So that's another thing people forget, is it's not set it and forget it. You have ongoing lab treatments, again, which insurance sometimes covers, sometimes doesn't, and does to different degrees.
Yeah. So some side effects, if you will, can be very manageable. And you mentioned the increase in hematocrit, which can be a side effect for some people, not all, but some people do. And they can give a blood donation, or again, their dose needs to be adjusted. And then the prostate, of course, if we had a prostate sensitive or hormone sensitive prostate tumor, testosterone could make it worse. So that's why we need to monitor that, so that we're not contributing to a problem.
Yes, absolutely. So it is, uh, as you can see, I'm a big proponent of TRT for the right candidate, but it is not candy. It's not to be taken lightly. You need to be the right candidate. You need to have not just the labs, but you need to have the symptoms. You need to get the right therapy, the modality that's right for you. Again, injectables, pellets, pills, etc., patches. You need the ongoing monitoring. So again, I'm a huge proponent for the right candidate, but it's not to be taken lightly. And that's another unfortunate thing, is a lot of there's kind of a bimodal approach to a bifurcated approach to testosterone replacement therapy. There's the doctors who are still living in the past, who say never, who still have these misconceptions about prostate cancer, et cetera. And then there's these guys who just kind of reflexively farm you out to TRT mills, oftentimes ones in which they have a financial stake. So again, your TRT should not be used to fund your physician's country club membership.
Mm. No, no, no. It definitely needs to be administered responsibly. So we're running low on time, but when I also found on your website, you published the Signal, which is a really great compilation of headlines in the news, your interpretation, what we should worry about and what we shouldn't. So how is that going? How do you, keep up with that and find out the information to educate us?
It's a time and a half job. So
Mm.
I got the bright idea, for whatever reason, to get into journalism, and I love it. I love writing. I love words, but yes, it's a time and a half job. But fortunately, in my decade of doing this at the highest levels internationally, I've developed a Rolodex of experts, which I can consult, and I like writing. And if I may be immodest, I think I excel at it. So it's been quite fun, and that's the-signal.us.
Well, wonderful. And we'll put that in our show notes. And so where can our people learn more about you or get in touch?
Best way to connect with me is LinkedIn. So just send me an invite. Be honored to connect with you. Also, I mentioned the website for the Signal, and I'm also on other forms of social media, Instagram, handle @FeltovichFit, and also Twitter.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I'm glad we were able to connect and have this conversation. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. Do you have insights from this show? Send me an email at radiumpodcast2025@gmail.com. Check out past episodes on YouTube, and we're also on Apple and all your favorite platforms. I'll be back next Saturday morning at 7:30 with more expert insights to help you live a radiant and healthy life. Until then, here's to your best life.